from snakes the size of literal buildings to prehistoric fish that could hunt whales. This is the Animals I'm Glad Are Extinct tier list. The Arthropleura was a car-length centipede that had dozens of claws, could shred something in seconds, and had literal built-in armor. C tier. Helicoprion was a prehistoric shark-like fish that lived about 270 million years ago. Its most unusual feature was a spiral of teeth in its lower jaw, called a tooth whorl. Instead of losing old teeth the way modern sharks do, its teeth rolled inward into a curled spiral, creating something that looked like a buzzsaw. How Helicoprion used this strange adaptation is still debated. Some scientists think the spiral sliced soft-bodied prey like squid, while others suggest it helped snag and process fish. What's certain is that it was one of the strangest jaw structures in the history of vertebrates, turning its entire mouth into a rotating blade. B tier. Kelenken was one of the largest terror birds, a group of flightless predatory birds that lived in South America. Standing over 2 meters tall, it had a skull nearly 70 centimeters long, the largest known for any bird. Its beak was sharp and hooked, shaped like an axe blade, and it was supported by strong neck muscles built for delivering powerful strikes. Unlike modern birds of prey that rely on flight, Kelenken hunted on foot. With long legs and a lightweight frame, it could sprint quickly across open ground, chasing down smaller animals and delivering bone-crushing blows with its beak. To anything its size or smaller, this bird would have been a lethal ambush hunter. A tier. Megalodon was the largest shark that ever lived, reaching an estimated 15 to 18 meters in length, about the size of a semi-truck. Its jaws were wide enough for a human to stand inside, and its conical teeth could grow over 15 centimeters long. With a bite force many times stronger than a great white's, it was capable of crushing whale bones with ease. Fossil evidence, including whale bones marked with massive bite scars, shows that Megalodon preyed on large marine mammals rather than smaller seals or fish. It ruled the oceans from about 23 to 3 million years ago, until a global cooling event and shifting food supplies led to its decline. For millions of years though, it was the ultimate ocean predator. S tier. Livyatan was a massive predatory whale that lived around the same time as Megalodon, about 12 to 13 million years ago. Roughly the size of modern sperm whales, over 15 meters long, it had a very different diet. Unlike today's squid-eating sperm whales, Livyatans' jaws were packed with enormous teeth up to 36 centimeters long, the largest of any known animal. Even more striking, it had functional teeth in both the upper and lower jaws, unlike most whales today. Fossils suggest it hunted other whales, as well as large fish and seals. In the Miocene oceans, a whale might escape a giant shark only to face Livyatan, a rival predator built to ram, bite, and tear apart marine mammals. It was one of the few animals that could have directly competed with Megalodon for food. A tier. Therizinosaurus looked unlike almost any other dinosaur. Imagine a tall, feathered animal shaped a bit like an oversized ostrich, but with huge arms and claws that stretched over half a meter long. Its long neck, small head, and wide belly suggest it was mostly a plant eater, likely pulling down leaves and branches the way a giant hook might. The claws weren't built for stabbing prey like a predator's, but they could still do serious damage if the animal felt threatened. Fossils show a gentle-looking body plan paired with some of the largest claws ever seen on land. That strange mix makes Therizinosaurus one of the most unusual dinosaurs we know, an herbivore that looked like it was armed for battle. C tier. Amargasaurus was a smaller member of the long-necked sauropods, reaching about 9 to 10 meters in length. What made it stand out were the 2 rows of tall spines running down its neck and back. Some scientists think these spines supported thin skin sails that may have been used for display, while others believe they were bare, forming a double row of sharp spikes. It lived in early Cretaceous Argentina, feeding on low plants and shrubs. As an herbivore, it wasn't built to hunt or attack, but its unusual silhouette would have been intimidating. Whether those spines were for defense, display, or regulating body temperature, they made Amargasaurus look far more dangerous than it probably was. B tier. You've probably noticed at this point that there's only one spot for God tier that crowns the scariest, deadliest, most ferocious, and world-ending predator there would be. Kaprosuchus, sometimes called the boar crocodile, was a prehistoric crocodiliform that lived about 95 million years ago. It grew around 5 to 6 meters long, but unlike modern crocodiles, it had unusually long legs that suggest it could move more easily on land. Its skull was lined with large tusk-like teeth that gave it a boar-like appearance and may have been useful for piercing through tough hides. Fossil evidence indicates it was a specialized ambush predator. Instead of waiting at the water's edge like modern crocodiles, Kaprosuchus may have been able to pursue prey across open ground, using short bursts of speed to tackle animals far from rivers. This combination combination of mobility and powerful jaws would have made it especially dangerous in its environment. A tier. Mosasaurus was a giant marine reptile that lived during the late Cretaceous, about 15 meters long and shaped for speed. It wasn't a dinosaur, but a type of large lizard related to modern monitor lizards and snakes. Its skull was armed with double-hinged jaws lined with backward curving teeth, allowing it to grip and swallow prey whole. Its long, streamlined body made it a powerful swimmer, more like a reptilian torpedo than a modern lizard. It dominated the seas of its time, feeding on large fish, turtles, squid, and even smaller mosasaurs. As one of the top predators of the Cretaceous oceans, Mosasaurus had no real rivals. Its combination of size, speed, and powerful jaws meant that any creature in the water was potential prey. S tier. Estemmenosuchus lived about 270 million years ago, long before the age of dinosaurs. It was a large therapsid, part of the distant lineage that would one day lead to mammals. About the size of a hippo, it had a wide, flattened head covered in strange bony projections, horn-like growths that formed a crown across its skull and jutting knobs along the sides. These weren't true horns, but outgrowths of bone that may have been used in display for defense or in pushing matches with rivals. Its teeth suggest it was mostly a plant eater, living in swampy floodplains where it browsed on vegetation. Despite its bulky build and unusual appearance, it probably wasn't very aggressive. Still, its strange crown of bone would have made it a striking, even unsettling animal to encounter in its marshy environment. B tier. For a long time, scientists only had the arms of Deinocheirus, massive clawed limbs over 2 meters long, so no one knew what the rest of the animal looked like. When more fossils were uncovered, the picture became even stranger. Deinocheirus had a broad duck-like bill, a large hump on its back formed by tall spinal bones, and a bulky body that could weigh more than an elephant. Fossil evidence shows stones in its stomach, which it likely used to grind up tough plants. Remains of fish have also been found with it, meaning it was an omnivore that ate whatever it could scoop up in its floodplain habitat. At around 11 meters long, it was one of the largest ornithomimosaurs, moving slowly across wetlands like a living earth mover. C tier. Daeodon, often nicknamed the Hell Pig, wasn't a pig at all, but a member of the Entelodont family, an extinct group of hoofed mammals. Standing nearly as tall as a horse at the shoulder, it had long legs built for running and a massive skull nearly a meter long. Its jaws were equipped with powerful teeth and muscles capable of crushing bone, similar to those of modern hyenas. Daeodon was an opportunistic omnivore. Fossil evidence suggests it scavenged carcasses, hunted smaller animals, and also ate plants when available. Its size and speed would have made it one of the top threats in its environment, not because it specialized in any one food source, but because it could dominate most of them. If this animal decided to claim something, prey, carrion, or even territory, it would have been almost impossible to challenge. A tier. Gigantapificus was the largest ape to ever live, standing up to 3 meters tall and weighing more than 500 kilograms, heavier than a grizzly bear. It lived in parts of Asia between 2 million and 300,000 years ago, where it is thought to have mainly eaten bamboo and other plant matter. Its teeth and jaws suggest a diet suited for grinding tough vegetation, making it a gentle giant most of the time. Despite its herbivorous habits, the sheer size of Gigantapificus would have made it intimidating. A primate this large could easily overpower almost any predator, and its strength would have been unmatched among land mammals of its environment. While there's no evidence it was aggressive toward humans, an encounter with an ape this massive would have been unpredictable at best. B tier. Dunkleosteus lived over 350 million years ago, long before sharks became the ocean's dominant predators. It grew to about 6 meters long and was covered in heavy bony armor at the head and front of its body. Instead of teeth, it had massive bone plates in its jaws that worked like self-sharpening blades, snapping shut with enormous force. Its bite is estimated in the thousands of newtons, powerful enough to shear through armor and bone. This made Dunkleosteus one of the most fearsome predators of the Devonian seas. Fossil evidence suggests it preyed on other armored fish, early sharks, and even members of its own species. Its combination of size, armor, and shearing jaws meant that very little was safe from it in its environment. A tier. Cameroceras was one of the largest cephalopods of the Ordovician seas, possibly reaching 6 to 9 meters in length. Unlike modern squid and octopuses with coiled or soft bodies, it had a long straight shell shaped like a spear. At one end end was a squid-like animal with tentacles and a sharp beak, capable of grasping and tearing through prey. As an apex predator of its time, Cameroceras likely hunted trilobites, early fish, and other shelled animals. Its rigid shell made it both a formidable weapon and armor, giving it an advantage over many of its contemporaries. In its environment, it was among the most dangerous animals to encounter. B tier. Jaekelopterus was the largest of the sea scorpions or eurypterids, reaching up to 2.5 meters long. Its body was armored, with large paddles for swimming and powerful claws that stretched about half a meter each. Unlike many marine predators, it didn't live far out in the ocean. It thrived in rivers, lakes, and estuaries. That meant freshwater habitats. The kind humans might actually use were home to this predator. Fossil evidence shows it was an active hunter that preyed on fish and other arthropods. Its sheer size, coupled with those massive pincers, would have made it one of the most intimidating invertebrates ever to exist. C tier. Basilosaurus lived about 40 million years ago, during the Eocene epoch. And despite its name, which means king lizard, it was actually an early whale. It reached lengths of up to 17 meters, but unlike modern whales, it had a long, thin body that gave it a serpentine appearance. Its skull held sharp, conical teeth suited for catching and tearing flesh, showing it was an active predator. Fossils of stomach contents revealed that Basilosaurus fed on large fish and even smaller whales, making it one of the most formidable hunters of its seas. Instead of the smooth swimming style of modern whales, its snake-like body undulated through the water, adding to its unusual appearance. Encountering one would have been like seeing a giant eel with the skull of a predator rising out of the ocean. C tier. Tupandactylus was a large pterosaur from the early Cretaceous period, best known for its enormous crest. The crest, taller than its body, stretched upward like a giant sail and may have been brightly colored. Scientists believe it was mainly used for display, either to attract mates or signal dominance, though it may have also helped stabilize the animal in flight. Its jaws were long and narrow, suited for catching fish and other small prey. While it wasn't a predator humans would need to fear, its exaggerated appearance makes it one of the most striking pterosaurs ever discovered. D tier. Anomalocaris appeared more than 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period, when most animals were still tiny and simple. At up to 1 meter long, it was enormous for its time. It had large compound eyes, 2 spiny arms for grasping prey, and a circular tooth-lined mouth built to crush soft-bodied animals. For early marine ecosystems, Anomalocaris was a top predator. It likely hunted trilobites and other small creatures, and its body design shows some of the earliest adaptations for active predation in the fossil record. By today's standards, it wouldn't be dangerous, but in its own era, it was a nightmare that rewrote what predators could be. D tier. Pelagornis Sandersi was one of the largest flying birds ever discovered, with a wingspan between 6 and 7 meters, wider than many small planes. It lived around 25 million years ago and was specialized for soaring over open oceans, riding air currents with very little flapping. Its long, narrow wings and lightweight body made it a master glider. What stood out most was its beak. Instead of teeth, it had rows of bony projections along its jaws, giving the illusion of a mouth full of spikes. These helped it grip slippery fish, its primary food source. Though it wasn't a threat to humans, its sheer size and eerie, toothed appearance would have made any close encounter unnerving. C tier. Atopodentatus lived around 240 million years ago during the Middle Triassic period. Its most unusual feature was its head, a broad hammer-shaped skull with a jaw that formed a strange zipper-like row of teeth. Fossil studies suggest it used this adaptation to scrape algae from rocks or filter plant material from the water, making it one of the earliest known marine herbivores. While it wasn't a predator, its appearance was unsettling. An odd mix of lizard-like body and a head that looked more like a tool than an animal. It shows how evolution kind of just experiments sometimes. Solid D tier. Edestus, sometimes called the scissor-tooth shark, lived about 300 million years ago. Unlike most sharks, it didn't shed its old teeth. Instead, new teeth grew in a straight line, pushing the older ones outward. This created 2 long, protruding blades of teeth, one on the upper jaw and one on the lower, that looked like giant shears. Scientists think Edestus used this unusual mouth to slash at prey, delivering powerful bites that cut rather than pierced. While it wasn't as large or versatile as later sharks, its unique jaws made it one of the more unsettling predators in prehistoric seas. C tier. Quetzalcoatlus was one of the largest flying animals ever to live. With a wingspan of about 10 to 11 meters, roughly the width of a small plane, it stood as tall as a giraffe when on the ground. It had a long, stiff neck and a sharp, spear spear-like beak that could skewer small dinosaurs and other prey. On land, it likely stalked across open plains and coastlines, picking off animals about the size of modern deer. In the air, it soared on warm updrafts, able to stay aloft for hours. Fossil studies suggest it launched by pushing off with all four limbs, propelling itself powerfully into the sky before spreading its wings. S tier. Aegirocassis was one of the giants of the Cambrian seas, reaching about 2 meters long when most animals were still only a few centimeters. It belonged to the Anomalocaridids, relatives of early arthropods, with segmented bodies and large swimming flaps along its sides. Unlike its predatory cousins, Aegirocassis was a filter feeder. It used comb-like structures to strain plankton from the water, much like a modern whale shark. Despite its impressive size for its time, it posed no threat to larger creatures. Still, its alien-like body and enormous proportions would have made it an unsettling sight gliding through the water 500 million years ago. D tier. Sharovipteryx was a small gliding reptile that lived about 225 million years ago in what is now Central Asia. Unlike most gliders, which extend skin between their arms or along their sides, Sharovipteryx stretched its skin into a large triangular membrane between its hind legs and tail. This unusual setup created a delta wing shape, more like a jet than a bat. Its short forelimbs may have been used to help steer during flight. Though only about 20 centimeters long, it represents one of the earliest known experiments in vertebrate gliding. Its odd body plan shows how diverse and experimental evolution could be during the Triassic. To modern eyes, it would look bizarre, like a reptile put together backward, but it was effective at soaring short distances between trees. C tier. Meganeura was a giant insect related to modern dragonflies that lived about 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period. With wingspans reaching up to 70 centimeters, it was as wide as a modern seagull. Like dragonflies today, it was an aerial hunter, catching other insects in mid-flight with precision and speed. Its large size was possible because the atmosphere at that time contained more oxygen than today, around 35% instead of the current 21%. This higher oxygen level allowed insects to grow to sizes that would be impossible now, since their respiratory systems rely on diffusion rather than lungs. While Meganeura preyed only on other arthropods, its appearance would make it deeply unsettling to encounter in modern times. B tier. Hatzegopteryx lived on an ancient island in what is now Romania about 70 million years ago. It was similar in size to Quetzalcoatlus but more heavily built, with shorter wings, a thick neck, and a massive skull over 3 meters long. Its bones were unusually strong for a pterosaur, suggesting it was capable of tackling larger, struggling prey. Unlike many flying reptiles that hunted fish, Hatzegopteryx was likely a land predator. It would have stalked the island's open landscapes, preying on dwarf dinosaurs and other animals that evolved there. Its combination of flight ability and sheer physical power made it one of the most dangerous aerial hunters of prehistory. A tier. Spinosaurus was one of the biggest meat-eating dinosaurs, about as long as a city bus. It had a long, narrow snout like a crocodile, with cone-shaped teeth made to grip slippery prey. Its back legs were shorter than most theropods, and its tail was wide and flexible, working almost like a paddle. A tall sail of bone spines rose along its back, possibly for display, for controlling body heat, or both. It dominated North African river systems full of giant fish and crocs. Whether it was a true swimmer or a shallow water ambusher is debated, but either way, there's no safe sandbar. B tier. Titanoboa was the largest snake ever discovered, living about 60 million years ago in what is now Colombia. It reached lengths of 12 to 13 meters, over 40 feet, and weighed more than a ton. Its body was as thick as an oil drum, built entirely of muscle. Unlike many modern snakes, Titanoboa didn't use venom. It killed by constriction, wrapping around prey and squeezing until bones and organs collapsed. In the tropical rivers it called home, Titanoboa preyed on massive turtles and crocodile-like reptiles. Its enormous size was made possible by the hot, humid climate of the Paleocene, which provided the warmth large reptiles need to survive. For people, sharing a river system with a snake of this size would have made fishing or swimming almost impossible. It could strike silently from beneath the water and drag away anything it caught. God tier! This video was inspired by Jackpockets' billionaire car tier list, so shout out to him. This is the first video on my channel, so subscribe so I can know if you want to see more.